John Wick. Holy shit. Shazam has an issue with The Rock. The Rock making more issues. And unfortunately, more Marvel Phase 5 delays. Well, at least we got some good news and we got some bad news for this particular episode. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Lights, Camera, Rant. And as I just mentioned, we're going to be diving into John Wick 4. We're going to be diving into the latest episode of Mandalorian, a big tiff in the DC universe, and unfortunately, further bad news about Marvel Phase 5 TV shows are delayed. But before we get into that, let's do the intro.
Welcome to the Lights, Camera, Rant Podcast, your source for the latest on movies, TV shows, and video games. Get ready for ranting, raving, and reviewing. Here is your host, Lee.
Hi, everyone, and as always, we're streaming live on Facebook, Twitch, and Twitter all the same time, and we go live every Sunday, and new episodes come every Tuesday morning. So thank you for everyone who's coming back again. Coming back again. And if you are also brand new to the show, welcome. Happy to have you here. So as always, we dive into the latest pop culture news, and then we dive into reviews. But what I want to talk about is something that happened this past week. So I got invited to go to a Spotify creators night in my city, Melbourne, Victoria. And this invite went out, it would have to be about a month ago. About a month ago it came out, and I was a little bit hesitant about going. I was like, should I go? Shouldn't I go? You know, because I've never been to one. I know in America there's a lot that happen over there in different states. Even I think in London there's about to be another one, not Podcast Fest or Podfest, something else. I can't remember. But you know, we don't really have those events down in Australia. I think if you type in podcast convention into Google in Melbourne, I think the last thing is about 3 years ago, and it was I do believe it was cancelled because of COVID. So that didn't happen. That didn't go ahead. So it was tickets were for free, and it was invite all these Spotify podcast creators, and we also there was two speakers as well. One was Tony and Ryan. Their podcast is exclusive to Spotify, and they're a comedy podcast, as well as Under the Surface with Annalie. Annalie, that's her name. And one was Tony and Ryan. Their podcast, they've been going on for over a year or even longer now. And Anna Marie's only started in November. So this place, I have to say, the place they picked to host this event, it was like down alleyway, no parking whatsoever. I'm like, I'm going to get shivved going down here. But there was balloons for Spotify logo on it. They had this massive spread on. They also had a bar tab, which I was fully stoked about. I'm like, yes. Because I'm going to go pay. And the guy's like, oh, no, there's a tab. I'm like, excuse me? Sorry, excuse me? He's like, yeah, there's a bar tab. I was like, all right, shit. Yeah, sure. Take my money. Take my money. There was probably about 35 of us in this room, in this pub, holding this convention. And it's one of the best things about podcasting is that no one's podcast is the same. Everyone's unique. There was so many colorful different people coming in all across that were pouring in, and me being a Lone Ranger. And as I was sitting there, grabbed some food, met a few people, try to get out of my comfort zone, and just introduce myself to as many people as possible. And I met some really great people. There was the Irrelevant Platitudes. Podcast was fantastic. You need to check out them. The Metal Podcast. There was also The Couch. Cowards, Couch. I can't remember the last name, but their podcast. It was fantastic, and there was also another podcast where this lady reviews drones. It was all fantastic. It was great to meet all these people. Now, the speakers, Tony and Ryan, Emily, they spoke about how they rose to their show to everything it is now. And it was really interesting to hear their stories and how they did everything. But the main thing you're there is to network at these events and meet more mind-like people like yourselves. Now, I didn't meet another. There might have been there, but I didn't meet another movie, video game, or TV show review podcast. Everyone else was unique. Well, I said one was about dating, one was about the metal underground scene. These guys were really cool because they're a band and they do their own concerts, make their own music, and they also run their podcast where they invite other people on, thanks to Spotify Music on podcasting. So, which basically means what you can do on Spotify is you can create a podcast show, which I've done about 4 times now. It's only exclusive to Spotify, but you can add music into your episode because you have the extensive library of Spotify, but you can add all in music. So these guys play their own music. They also interview people and play their music. It's a fantastic show, and I highly recommend anyone to go check it out. But fully go check that out. So it was a great night. A lot of networking. The event was only went for about 3.5 hours. I was there the whole time. I was one of the last strugglers that left. But as soon as I left, I thought, I really wish there was more of these. I really, really wish there was more. And for any podcaster that listens to this show and you see one of these events pop up, buy your ticket. Just go. It's, you've got nothing to lose. These are your peeps. These are the same people that, listen to your podcast or something different, but it's in your niche. And I highly recommend anyone to go see them. Go to these events. It's fantastic. I just wish there was more. That's the only thing. Unless I want to go travel overseas, which, as much as I wish I could do that, I haven't got the backing. So please support the show so I can go to more events. But no, it was a fantastic evening. Great connections, made some great friends. And I'll definitely be going back when they make another event. I'll be right there. So let's dive into the news that's happened in the past week. So we got some new game announcements. We got some, unfortunately, I said delay news. We've all got some news about a show that we really want that probably isn't coming out anytime soon. So let's start off the bat, ladies and gentlemen. Let's go and dive into this. So there is a movie coming out at the end of this year, which is basically Zack Snyder's version of Star Wars that he wanted to create. It's called Rebel Moon. It's got a lot of the people he's worked with in the past in this movie, but it is coming December 22nd, 2023. I do believe there's only a teaser trailer out, which is really not much, if that, but it is coming at the end of this year. So Zack Snyder, in preparation for SnyderCon, which we were talking about last week, how he did a full circle Dark Side. They will be showing all 3 of his DC movies, the Snyderverse. They will be showing those movies. That's what the full circle is. They also made some extra special posters. There's going to be merch, everything SnyderCon. So as he was promoting all that, he's also mentioned the fact that with this movie that's coming out at the end of this year, he has announced that there will be a game coming. He didn't say when, he didn't say the developer, there's no further details on the scope, scale. He just said that there will be a game coming and it will be an RPG gaming and it's meant to be huge. So he said that in the interview, and he's looking at most likely, I'd say, obviously 2024. Roughly about there. I'd be surprised if it came out this same year, given when the movie's coming out. But yeah, Rebel Moon. It's, as I say, it's basically Zack Snyder's version of if he could make a Star Wars film. He's very excited for it. Some of the early concept art and some of the photos look fantastic. So hands up, I'll be going to go see that. So far, I haven't seen Zack Snyder's Army of the Dead. I haven't seen that, but everyone praises that. People are asking for a sequel to that, which Zack Snyder said that won't until come later. And before you ask, and why, for anyone who's watching this podcast, on why I'm drinking juice and not usually my drink of choice, Jameson or Jack Daniels, because right now, as I'm recording, it is 9 o'clock in the morning. 9 o'clock in the morning, and I unfortunately it's a little bit frowned upon to drink this early when you're having your breakfast. So just a juice man for today. But yeah, Rebel Moon. Now another TV show that we all kind of predicted this was going to happen. Just want to confirm it further. Bella Ramsey from The Last of Us. She's mentioned that we will most likely not see The Last of Us Season 2 until early 2025. So if they start shooting at the end, it will be basically the same thing as this year. Early 2025, Season 2 of The Last of Us. So that is how long we have to wait. Let's just prep ourselves. But let's also be grateful. Well, I'll be grateful. But even though we have to wait that long, we know the fact that we're getting a Season 2 and Season 3, that they can't condense everything into just one season as they did for the first one. So that will be coming roughly a bit then. And it's funny because that seems so far away. And I'm like, I'm really excited for Kang Dynasty, and that's even further away. This is the part that really I'm gonna struggle with. So even though Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars meant to be 2025 and 2026, there's rumors going around that those will be delayed to give more breathing room to the Marvel special effects team and to develop stories even further. There's been no official announcement that they have been delayed. However, it is rumored. And another thing that has been delayed that I did mention is that the Phase 5 TV shows that we're meant to be getting this year, they have also, there's been no official announcement they've been delayed. However, when you go onto the Disney Plus app now, they did have, like summer or June, they set like a kind of a time frame of when they were coming out. They have just changed to coming soon now, which is so really annoying. I'm really excited for Secret Invasion. I'm really excited for Loki Season 2. We just got a small little teaser from Ant-Man. But I have no doubt we'll get an announcement soon saying, when they all should be. But right now, unfortunately, I was saying this last year, delays. It feels like Marvel will still experience them just to give some more breathing room to their entire phase, and then going into Phase 6. Because don't forget, there are still so many movies and TV shows apparently they haven't announced yet that is currently in the works. So where are they going to squeeze everything in? Go remember how long Phase 1, 2, and 3 were. And the fact, we're going to get these both movies. It's funny because originally, which it would be one of those things that we look back on, is that both Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars was originally meant to happen in the same year. Unlike Endgame and Infinity War. Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars, it was meant to be, I think, March and then November. I think that was the two when they were going to originally come out. Now it's a year apart, which I'd say that it'd still keep the year, but whether or not it's pushed back to 26, 27 or so unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen, we will be playing the waiting game even further for anything Marvel. However, still speaking of Marvel, that will probably pique everyone's interest, is that the Spider-Man 2 video game containing Venom is rumored that it will be coming out this September. The voice actor for Venom has mentioned that that's when he believes the game will be released. However, as much as I'm really excited for this game, I'm kind of more excited for the Wolverine game they're developing. I'm like, that's the bread and butter I'm really excited for. But that's not coming until like late next year, roughly about then. But yes, Spider-Man 2 fans, September, lock that in. There was no official announcement, but September, October, you'll be looking around then. So strap yourselves in. Speaking of December, still for all Ghostbusters fans of Ghostbusters Afterlife, the sequel is currently now in production. Is currently filming. Ivan Reitman has mentioned the fact that it is currently in production at the moment. Codenamed The Firehouse. So that's all the details we've got so far. That this will be Ghostbusters 4. And it'll be a sequel to The Afterlife. It is expected a lot of the original cast from that movie will come back. I don't know about the original cast members, how much they'll be involved, but there will be another one, and it'll be set back into New York City. Afterlife was fantastic. That was a great sequel to the original 2. So I'm all for it. Strap myself in and let's go. Unfortunately, this past week, we must say goodbye to an end of an era. Ash Ketchum, Pokemon, has ended his 25-year journey and has come to an end. This past week in Japan, they released the last episode of Ash, saying goodbye. Looks like having some fun with his friends. One more battle with Team Rocket, but it's end of an era, ladies and gentlemen. And I feel old just announcing that. Like, oh God. But yeah, that's come to an end. It most makes me think of when The Simpsons is going to end. Really, that's just another one of those shows from your childhood that's coming to that point. I know it, but yeah, I've seen a lot of comments and a lot of people saying about Ash coming to a journey. It's like our childhood saying, see you later. So, which is really sad. But yes, an end of an era to a 25-year span journey. We say goodbye to Ash and Pikachu for the very last time. And also, moving on, for all Counter-Strike fans. Counter-Strike, this is weird. This is a game I have not heard for so long. I remember this being so popular in high school because I was just thinking about, obviously, Pokemon. Counter-Strike. So this game was obviously a first-person shooter. It's a team. It's Call of Duty, but on Fortnite before Fortnite. Like it's well before then. Valve just announced that they are making Counter-Strike 2 that will be coming mid to late end this year. I'm all for it. Bring it on. I've seen a lot of people excited for this game, and I say let's bring it on. It seemed like the funny thing is when I was talking to people like this came out of nowhere. Just out of nowhere, boom. There's like no leaks, no rumblings, but here we are. For Counter-Strike fans, you have a game coming out. Which, speaking of game, I'm so excited for Jedi Survivor. They just released the story trailer. I'm so excited for this game. I can't wait to review it for you guys. And before you ask me, yes, Hogwarts Legacy review is still currently in works. I will release that at one point. Just need to do some little finished choppers. Touches on it, but that is coming. So strap yourselves in for that. But definitely let me know what you think of the story trailer for Jedi Survivor. Are you pumped for it? Or you're like, nah, this can go. I'm not too excited for Bring On Suicide Squad, which is most likely going to be delayed again and again, especially how it's going right now. Now, another big news that we got in this week, it was kind of shocking, but kind of not at the same time. So what we found out, Zachary Levi, Shazam, went on to Instagram Live, and it was talking about little tidbits about the movies, what they could do, and he mentioned the fact that him and the crew were gunning to have Henry Cavill in the very first one. They tried everything, but the studio said no. So he said that he tried everything, but he couldn't get, they couldn't do it. And it really sucked because, it would have been great to get Henry Cavill. And another thing is that he mentioned that spoilers, especially for the latest, we're getting Mandalorian and John Wick, spoilers left, right, and center. So he mentioned the fact that, in the after credits scene, We got Shitbeard. I can't remember his name. All I can remember is Shitbeard because of Peacemaker and Harcourt. They both appear trying to recruit her to come into the Justice Society. Now, Zachary mentioned the fact that they were meant to be like Hawkman from and the Hurricane Girl from Black Adam. But apparently The Rock said, no, you can't use any Black Adam characters, so they couldn't use them. So that's why they got those two characters. So he blocked that. And then he also mentioned the fact that he also blocked Shazam having a cameo in Black Adam as well, because The Rock was trying to center the DC universe around him. And some of this was shocking. Some of this like adds up because of the giant ego that is The Rock. But another big thing is people forgetting. I was telling this to someone the other day. Is because I was talking. I really like Black Adam. I'm like, yeah, but that's not kind of his character. The Rock turned him into an anti-hero. Black Adam is a villain, straight up villain. That was the whole, Batman, the Joker, Shazam, and Black Adam. That's the kind of relationship it's meant to be. So that's what we were meant to get. So still, after all this time, DC is just in shambles. I saw the best meme the other day, and it was Marvel co-stars after 10 years, and they're all shaking hands, all happy. And then next frame was a giant brawl with all these people gunning for each other. It was like DC actors after one movie. No shit. Like, that is legit the best way to describe what's happened to the DC. And it's terrible because the characters for DC are fantastic. They're great. You put them up in the right movies, they look great and they do fantastic. But just all the backstage politics, all the rearranges, all the reboots, it's just bullshit. And now, after everything The Rock just caused, he's not going to be in the movie anymore. Like, he's gone because of James Gunn and because of the reboot, because The Rock didn't get what he wanted. And that was Rock wanted Black Adam versus Superman because he felt like Shazam wasn't a big enough fight for him. So that's... I just feel bad all around because Zachary's... He said, he's a fan. This is what he wanted. This is what he wanted to do. He wanted to fight the Rock. He was so excited. And then, nah, you don't get Black Adam. Nah, you don't get Justice Society characters. Nah, you don't get Henry Cavill. And unfortunately, which we all predict as well, the Shazam movie is currently tanking at the box office. It is not being received well. Last week, my review of it was, it's a great family film, has its comedy moments, but overall, it's a movie that I probably will not go back to. It just seemed to be some very familiar superhero tropes and not very memorable villains. And you can tell there was a bit of a shift of things internally in there that you can tell. But the performances were fantastic. It was just, I wouldn't go back to it at all. But you guys, you tell me, do you think The Rock's gone too far? Do you think it's been an ego thing? Or do you think the fact that, Zachary, would you feel like Black Adam should versus Superman straight away, or should Shazam first? How do you feel about this? Most of all, would you like to see a Shazam 3? Is that on table? And do you think The Rock took too much control and you're now glad that James Gunn is in all this? Please let me know, and I'm very intrigued to know what you guys all think. Also, now there's a comic that came out many, many years ago, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: The Last Ronin. Now, the reason I bring this up is because it's not announced, but it's rumored to be in works. A video game is based on that comic, will be coming out soon. No developers currently attached. However, the most of all for this comic, so this Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles video game, is that it will be heavily inspired by God of War, as in the gritty setting, the combat, all of that will be developed into this game. So if you are a TMNT fan, you've got a God of War inspired game on the horizon. However, no release date and no developer. So I'd give it 2 years at least at this stage. But that is currently in the works, so definitely strap yourselves in. As soon as I saw it, I thought that's an interesting concept, different concept, interesting concept. But I'm up for the whole ride. Let's see what it's like. I'd love to see the first trailer for it and what type of style it will be in. So, but yeah, that's definitely, and that is the biggest news that's happened in the past week. So let's get on to what happened release is The Mandalorian Chapter 2, The Foundling. I don't know how else I was going to say that. That really didn't come off the way I'd like it, like Foundling. No. So we're almost, which is so scary to say this, we are almost at the halfway point of The Mandalorian Season 3. Which I've seen some comments where people have talked about is that this last episode felt like an Andor episode. This one felt like some people said didn't have enough substance to it, and people aren't too excited for it. Me, I'm in for the entire ride. Last week's episode was a bit slow, but every single every single show has a low point. Now, it's funny I say that because Last of Us didn't. Last of Us, every episode was a bloody banger for the whole thing. And probably the slowest episode was the relationship one with Ron Swanson. That was probably the slowest type of episode, but the rest was pretty good. The rest was pretty good. But yeah, besides that, nearly every show has a slow episode. Now, this one starts off. Now, a big thing that Pedro Pascal said at the very beginning of the show before it released was there was going to be a lot of more Mandalorians. And we see that front and center in this episode. Bo-Katan is walking around the beach, and we see that all of them are training fire, blade, hand-to-hand combat, and then there's a lot of more Mandalorians ever. And they're all training on this beach. And then we also see they're doing combat battle training, like one-on-one, which Mando gets Grogu to fight. It looks like they do some paint darts, like paintball. Essentially, now I don't really know what's going to happen to Grogu. Like, there's a lot of theories out there. One, he's going to just be a Jedi, or two, he's going to be a Mandalorian Jedi. That if you do have a chance, please go type that into Google. There is some fantastic concept art that people have made of Grogu grown up as a Mandalorian, as a Jedi, and it looks badass. And we get to see him do this little battle, which at the time I thought he's going to lose or he's going to freak out using his force powers. But no, he wins. And as I always say, spoilers, left, right, and center before we go any further. So this episode starts off strong like that, doing all the training. Bo-Katan still trying to understand how everything's going. She seems still very nervous in this world, especially the fact that she can't take off her helmet in front of anyone now. Now, I thought this was interesting. Out of absolute nowhere, this giant dragon comes and steals a child and leaves. But where they are on the beach, it's like a cave, like it's not fully open out of nowhere. So this dragon would have known, which they do say in the episode, the dragon knows where they are and they've taken children before, which is like, you are all bounty hunter warriors. How have you not killed this? If it's done this before, why haven't you killed any of them before? Like, that's the thing. So Bo-Katan is talking, and as they capture the child, Bo-Katan says, we can do this to capture the child. And the armorer, the blacksmith, I don't trust her. She seems so sus, and something is going to happen without a shadow of a doubt. Like, between her or Bo-Katan, there's going to be a fight. There's going to be a reason why. There's going to be a big battle at the end between everybody and, whose side. That's my prediction, which me and Michael from Star Wars did make a couple of of weeks back of how this is going to happen, how this is going to end. But still, with this episode, I do not trust her. She's been too quiet and a bit. And for anyone who's watching the show, you know exactly what I mean. Everyone I've spoken to is like, yeah, she's gonna bring out the knife. She's gonna stab somebody in the back, all across. So the team pack up, and they head out to the dragon. There are some beautiful landscape shots in this episode. I did find myself, even though it was the desert, it was still some really nice looking around. Even Andor, when they do the heist, has beautiful landscape shots. Just watching it as the TIE fighters all go through the hills is beautiful. So still continuing, even though it's desert, still looks fantastic. This episode compared to last week has a lot more action in it. A lot more. And one of the best action pieces that we get in this episode is that the armorer goes to make more armor for, of course, goes to make more armor for Grogu while the team's away trying to save the child. And as she's like hitting down on the metal, Grogu has a flashback. Now, we saw a little tidbit of this in season, I think it was in, it would have been the Book of Boba Fett. We saw this a little tidbit of in Order of 66 on how he got away. Now we see that the door's opening, the Jedi. It's nice seeing a whole bunch of Jedi again. Trying to save Grogu. He goes in an elevator while they all get massacred. And when the elevator lands, this guy finds him and says, "I will help you." And truth be told, which I didn't know, which a lot of people didn't know until I actually looked at it properly. It's the actor who did Jar Jar Binks. He's back and he's now a Jedi. Now, for everyone who doesn't know, Star Wars is obviously a fantastic show. It's a fantastic movie. It's a fantastic franchise. It has a massive fan base, but the fan base could be potentially on the verge of what people describe is one of the most toxic fan bases out there currently. Between that and Star Trek, massive fan base. Actually, I'm actually starting to watch the next gen Star Trek TV, next gen Star Trek from the start. I haven't seen it, and tell me from Two Sides of Story has been bugging me, and I will watch it. But yes, sorry. Back to that. And unfortunately, the guy who played Jar Jar Binks, he does go on record that he did complete on suicide because all the hate he got for Jar Jar Binks. And look, going back, Jar Jar is an annoying character, but it's hate the character. Don't hate the person playing the character. And he got hate mail, hate messages online, all this, and people are disgusting. And he was saying, so he said he loves this universe, but everything that's happened because of that character I played is horrible. Is just horrible. And I can't honestly think of anything else that he's been in, but I'm so glad he got to come back as a Jedi and a badass Jedi with 2 lightsabers who defends off about 20 stormtroopers coming at him, and he saved Grogu in this beautiful shot that you get to see of Coruscant, which is always fantastic to see. It's just beautiful to look at, even though the current massacre of Order 66 and all the Jedi that's currently happening right now. But this was a great action scene, and all the special effects for this episode was outstanding. I loved it. But this would have to be the highlight. A lot of people have loved this, and so much praise and so much love has come to the guy who played Jar Jar Binks. I forgot his name. My apologies. So, and that's fantastic. It's not a redemption arc, but it's glad to see that he's getting the proper love at the moment for something different. And he has said he does hope to appear again. Which you never know. Go forget the Ahsoka TV show that we're getting later this year. Hayden Christensen is back for that. So Star Wars TV shows, you don't know who's going to pop up anywhere. Also, I was also looking. There's a whole rumor going around, which I think Dave Filoni has spoke about that in the plans. There's a plan to do a massive crossover event with a whole bunch of these shows all together, which I have no idea how that's going to look or what it's like, how the fathom it's all going to work. But yeah, a massive crossover event is possibly in the works that will be coming. So I will keep you guys up to date on that. So back to the TV show, sorry. Yeah, so great action, but great, it's a good flashback. I loved it. And you see in Grogu, he's still like, it's a terrifying thing. It's still, obviously, we don't know the gap between when he flies away with a Jedi to how he landed on the planet that Mando first meet him. So we don't know the gap and all that, but I have no doubt we will find out. But yes, that was all fantastic. And then after that, we also get to see the team work together, all the Mandalorians to save the kid, and Bo-Katan. She seems to like trying to adjust the fact that she's the leader again, or she's a leader in this clan. She's trying to get used to their way. This is the way. Trying to get used to their ways and how it all works together. Especially at the scene where they're eating, and she's like, she goes to Mando, how do you eat? And he's like, oh, you walk away from the camp and you eat. And she got up, and one of the blokes was like, no, you are the leader of the war party. You get to sit. We leave. And she's like, oh. And then it leads into a giant battle where they do save the child. It's fantastic work. Still CGI is great. And then they bring home the kid to the beach. And the armorer says, you have brought honor to your clan. Bo-Katan, fantastic. And she loses some of her armor on her shoulder, which the armorer does make more armor for her, where she doesn't want the 9-hour, she wants the mythosaur. So she has both on her shoulders. Interesting, though, she does say to the armor that I remember seeing, I saw the mythosaur. And she's like, oh, well, you can have visions. You know, it's just the way. You never know what's going to happen. There's stress. And she's like, no, I've actually seen it. And she's like, this is the way. Like, just completely blows her off about the whole thing. And completely says, nah, it's not happening. So that's another big question is like, is the armor like, no, you're full of shit and you're crazy, lady? Or I don't want the rest of the people know because I'm the leader. And if they all know, then they'll, the power struggle and everything, she'll leave. So that's the thing. Will Bo-Katan be like, no, the mythosaur is real, and will she try to rebuild? I don't know if she can't rebuild a Mandalorian, but will she try and get the Darksaber and lead everyone once again? But overall, episode, action good, flashback good, never seen more Jedi with lightsaber battles. As I said, CGI is fantastic. I'm still very excited. This episode doesn't make me slow down in excitement, not like Book of Boba Fett did. I'm still pumping it out. I can't wait for the rest of the season. But you tell me, what do you think Mandalorian so far? Are you excited for it, or do you feel like it's slowing down, or it's too much of the same stuff? Please, I'm really curious to know what everyone thinks. Everyone I spoke to, which is probably just my friends, they're all just excited as I am seeing Mando back. Especially on the hype train that is Pedro Pascal that's been going on ever since The Last of Us, which I think is about 8 weeks running now, and still 4 to 5 more weeks to go. But yeah, so let's get into Mr. Wick. Rickety wrecked, and that was horrible. John Wick, Chapter 4. We've been introduced to John Wick for nearly 9 years now, nearly on the verge of 10 since the very first one. Now, this movie had a budget of $100 million and is currently in the box office. All the reviews for this have been outstanding, especially on IGN. A perfect 10 on it. And I have to say, this movie, which I will get into, I do have a gripe with it. Which I'll get into. This movie, after watching Shazam, is outstanding. This movie, action, locations, the drama, they nailed this all out of the park. It does it so well. And a lot of people I did see were talking about how it's almost on the verge of how as good as the first one. And I did think like, I don't know about that. Like the first one's fantastic. I recommend anyone to go watch at least watch John Wick 1. That's it. Just at least watch one. You don't need to watch the rest. But the first one is such a fantastic action movie, which I was late to the party to go see. I was late to the party to go see this. It was, I can't remember. I was at a mate's house and I was like, he was like, oh, have you seen John Wick 2? And I was like, oh, no, I haven't seen the first one. He's like, what? What do you mean? And I'm like, I haven't seen John Wick. He's like, I can't remember what our plans were. I think it was a gaming night or something. And he's like, nah, we're watching John Wick. And we cracked on John Wick, started watching it. And I was like, holy shit. He's like, yeah, dude, how have you not seen this? I'm like, I haven't watched it. It's not like a big blockbuster when it came. It was like, whoa. But now it is. And ever since then, John Wick 2, John Wick 3, and now we're after John Wick 4. And we also have a spin-off show that's coming out as well that Keanu Reeves will be returning for. That's got no release date, but that is also currently in the works. So this movie starts off, pretty much picks up exactly where John Wick 3 left off. John Wick is training in this intensive, which starts off very strong. Like you almost jump back how it starts. He's training because he's going to go after the high table because he doesn't have his freedom. So he has to go at the very top to take out whoever he needs to get his freedom and finally rest. Now, another thing is the fact he does in the nice desert scene, he goes to kill the guy higher than the high table, shoots him, obviously, thinking that it would bring his freedom. That didn't work. And then it leads to, we get introduced Bill Skarsgård's character, the Marquis. So the Marquis is basically a member just below the high table, but has everything at his disposal to take out or do his business any way he wants. And that's who he is. And he has all this power. And straight off the bat, one of the very first things, he calls in Winston. He calls in Lance Riggs' character. They come in. He decommissions the New York Continental, blows up, and then also takes out Lance. Shoots him straight off there, which was just a bit shocking. I wasn't expecting that. It was about 2 scenes he was in. 2 or 3 scenes he was in. I was like, oh. Which they did a fantastic tribute to him right at the end, saying R.I.P., a tribute to Lance. I was just very sorry that he did pass away 2 weeks ago. But they did a good tribute to him. And then this is how this movie starts off. So John Wick is still going off the high table, and there's no New York Continental. So John Wick has to go to Osaka Continental in Japan, which is beautiful. And I have to say, this movie, don't get me wrong, like a lot of people are like, oh, it's the same story every single time. He just goes around killing people. What he has to do? And like, it's still a fantastic story to go through, but this movie, some of the locations in it, the cinematography is beautiful. How the Osaka Continental looks fantastic. The colors, the setting, that was all great. And then we're also introduced to a brand new character, which the Marquis hires. You are service to the high table to get out because of his daughter. Obviously, he tried to get his way out. Same thing as John Wick. He's got out, but now he's been pulled back into this world, which we do get seeing beautiful how he can't go anywhere near his daughter because of everything. So now he is back into this game, which is played by Donnie Yen, who is a fantastic martial arts actor. So when this first got announced, I was like, holy shit, him versus John Wick, I am all in. So if you don't know who Donnie is, go Google IP Man. Brutal movie. Fantastic to watch. He was also in Rogue One. He was a blind guy. And funny, not really funny, but he's also blind in this as well. And I'm like, I said to my man, like, he's not blind in real life, is he? He's like, no. I'm like, it's funny how the last 2 movies I've seen him, he still plays a blind man. So he gets hired to take on Mr. Wick, or they're going to kill his daughter. And then, obviously, at the Ahsoka Continental, it all goes to shit because the High Table is after him. They hire a whole crew. So not only Donnie Yen, but also the High Table's bodyguards, which are quite strength intense. They also go after it. Turns into this whole fight scene, which is fantastic. And this is really cool. This is a really cool scene. It was very small. So obviously Donnie Yen character is blind. And in this scene, he's in the kitchen and he's putting all these, let's say, doorbells or lights or sensors. He puts all these around. And I was like, what are they? And what he's doing is as the enemies come in, or like our friends come in, it's a sensor doorbell. So they go off. So he gets up and shoots them. And as they're trying to get through this maze, the kitchen, they're all going off. And that's how he gets them. That was really cool. That was a really cool action scene. This entire movie is how to make an action movie 101. It is brutal, it's fantastic, and it's intense. And they do unique things like this, which I will get into another one a little bit later on. So that's all fantastic in that fight scene. Unfortunately, the owner of the Ahsoka Continental was friends with John Wick. He unfortunately gets his demise of Donnie Yen's character, Mr. Kane, in front of his daughter, who's also a fighter at the same time. And she watches that, and you know how this whole thing goes on to, like, you kill my dad, I'm going to come after you. And then but because of their age, it's assumed that, like, you know, they've had so much history. They're all essentially a lot of retired people. Like, they've given up this world. Like, all these characters, John Wick's character, and they're all basically, you know, they've been retired for many years away from all of this. Not like saying they're like really old, like 70s and 80s, but like it's like that they're 50s and 60s. Like they've been retired for a very long time from this world. However, they still fight like there's no tomorrow in this entire thing. And then we move from there, and then we move to Berlin. So we got some great location, like on-setting locations are fantastic. There's another scene that we get, which is at a nightclub. It's raining because waterfall and nightclub, because you know how cool that is. Lights everywhere. Then we get a full action scene in there, which is beautiful as the light, as you know, John Wick's fighting, the rain coming down. You know, just praise the whole thing. It's just beautiful look at and action, and just that alone, you should be going to watch this. But as the story progresses, so this movie, which I did not realize, and when I was going, this movie goes for 2 hours and 40 minutes. This is the longest John Wick, and the director did mention the original cut of this movie was 3 hours and 40 minutes. So there's about 50 minutes of extra footage that's left on the table that we did not see for you did not see this, and that's how you get. Holy shit, like that adds a lot of action. Now, one of the main gripes that I will say about this movie is about the timing. Is like it's awesome. I mean, you're following the whole thing, but because this movie, some of the fight scenes, you could have trimmed just a little bit. You could have trimmed it just a little bit because they go probably that little bit tad over. But my only gripe is that is that they could have just trimmed off probably about 20 minutes from this overall plot of this movie. Not because of plot, but just because the scenes, because of plot. And you're just watching, you're like, wow, this is going for a little bit. Like, there's a great scene in the Arc Tree Run where they're fighting, and all the traffic's going around. That's great. The soundtrack is great as well. So it's which I was listening on Spotify when I was driving home. But yeah, it's just probably a tad too long. All the acting, fantastic. That's true. And then there's a scene just a little bit later on where they're in like an apartment building, essentially like an old Berlin apartment building, and the camera instead of just being faced for watching John Wick, you go up into a overview, like a drone view, which looks like a video game as he's trying to kill everybody. He's going like left, right, and center. That scene is great. Just watching it, that goes for about 10 minutes, but you almost feel like you're playing a video game. And you know why. You know why. You know why it's like that. But it's just great to watch, seeing how this is all fighting out. And then there is a scene later on, which this is probably contingent how it's a little bit too long. So the way John Wick gets his first freedom is that the old rules of the high table is he can fight the Marquis a duel, which of course the Marquis nominates Mr. Kane, obviously, because he won't fight himself. So they have to go to this location. They fight at dawn. That's dawn. If John Wick is late and doesn't appear, then Winston dies because he's the one who put him forward for the duel, because it's like a family affair. So, which is why John Wick had to go to Berlin, become back a part of the family, and that's how it leads into that whole scene. That whole scene in the nightclub, trying to do that fight scene. So he's got to go up these bunch of stairs. And this stair scene is probably a little bit too long. He's going up. He's like fighting all these guys. And then he gets up to the top. And he's still fighting, still shooting on them. And then the guards from the high table rock up and they push him. And he falls down all these stairs. And he goes up again slowly. Kane helps him, but they go up. So this stair scene happens twice, almost 2.5 times, because he gets knocked down again as well. And I don't know how John Wick's still alive. Like, anyone else would have had a cracked neck and died, but no, Mr. Wick is just Mr. Wick. Enough said. But this is how long this scene goes for. It's probably just a little bit too long. And then when he does finally get up there, we get this really cool duel scene where they have to shoot each other, but they go in every 10 paces. So they shoot each other, they graze each other. Both Donnie Yen, Mr. Kane, and John Wick. And then they get a little bit closer again. They shoot each other, they do get each other a bit more, bit closer, and then they come in another 10. And as they go shoot, Donnie Yen's character fires, and John Wick goes down. And then the Marquis, Bill Selly, goes, I changed the nomination. I'm going to do it. It's going to be me. Grabs a gun, points it to John Wick, about to shoot him. And then Winston goes, you're an arrogant asshole. He didn't shoot you, dickhead. And John Wick goes, shoots him right between the eyes. Boom. Straight there. And that, I didn't even hear the second shot. I thought, that was really cool. That was really cool. That's a good twist of the knife kind of aspect. And John Wick gets his freedom. Donnie Yen gets his freedom. The Continental New York is reinstated. And then right at the ending, you see that John Wick says a little bit earlier, says to Winston, says, on my gravestone, I want loving husband. That's what I want, loving husband. And John Wick's sitting there, he's bleeding out a little bit, and he's just like looking down. We get a good flashback of him with Helen from the first one 10 years ago, and he falls down. Next frame is Winston and Lance Fishburne's character looking at his gravestone next to his wife. And then Lance Fishburne's character's like, do you think he's in heaven or he's hell? And Winston's like, don't know. And then fade out. And then that's how John Wick. But the thing is, I think in that comment, it's determined the fact that he is not actually dead. He's just living off somewhere, being quiet. He's got his freedom. He can be at peace. And obviously, Mr. Kane, he gets his peace with his daughter, except if you do stay late, stay after the credit scene because there is an after credit scene. Doesn't get too brutal, but definitely good for Mr. Kane. Overall, 100% review. So far, the best movie I've seen this year is John Wick Chapter 4. Saying this, obviously we're only in March, but it's a lot better than Ant-Man. It's a lot better than Shazam. So far, it is the best movie of 2023 so far that you need to go watch. Highly recommend and don't miss it. It is bloody brilliant. So definitely go check that out. So guys, that is my review for The Mandalorian. That is my review for John Wick 4 and let us know. So definitely tell me what you think. Please follow us on our socials, especially if you come to this far in the episode. Definitely, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Please go and check us out. And if you absolute pleasure, hit that subscribe button on Apple iTunes. I don't know how the Apple bit or YouTube. You know what I mean. Just give us a follow, and then we'll talk to you. I love these interactions with everybody, especially if you come drop us a message. And as always, guys, until next time, happy ranting.
Thanks for listening to Lights, Camera, Rant. If you like the show, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, leave us a rating and review, and be sure to tell your friends. Until next time, happy ranting.